Hey, you like cars? We are back. Yes. We are here again. You know what time it is. We're back at the regular scheduled program, CarQuicks Podcast. We are now at episode 101. 101. We're in the hundreds now. Had a little bit of a celebration last week, or a little bit, maybe like a week and a half now. I kind of let that episode 100 marinate a little bit, just to celebrate my time. Thanks to all the people that commented. I had people that sent me messages and DMs congratulating me on the 100 episodes. I don't even know if they've only seen 100 episodes or if they saw the 100th episode. So the point is, I'm glad to do it. I enjoy what I'm doing, and I'm back again for another week to serve up the CarQuicks Podcast. So welcome. It's Cameron Biggs, your host. Once again, I am back here, and we're going to talk about some news. But before we begin that, I do want to just say something because there's things happening in the news. I live in Texas. If you've watched anything with the news or social media, you know that there was devastating floods that happened out in West Texas. And my prayers to those family members, those that lost loved ones, the condolences to give to them, because that news is devastating. Like, there's no way to imagine going through that and something that was so abrupt that happened and just having no way to get out of those situations. So prayers to those families, to those people that are helping serve them, to help facilitate rescues and to find loved ones and to keep the search going. So if you haven't heard about it, send your prayers to those people because it's needed. It is very much needed. You just have to acknowledge those certain things that are happening in life and just how precious life is amongst the other things that we may have concerned with, whether it's something as simple as like, I want to do something with the car, or something that you enjoy, or the social media, or the podcasting. Those things pale in comparison to those major things that can happen in life that really can reset you and ground you. Let's get into what we're here for. We're here to talk about some cars. And that's what I enjoy the most, and that's what we're here to do. So we're going to drive right into some news. I'm actually going to start off with something that is, I say sad, but I don't want this to come off wrong by saying sad after speaking about a true tragedy. I'm talking about something kind of in the car space that's unfortunate, but I've noticed it. And I don't know if I'm the only one that's noticing this. I'm sure I'm not. But I'm going to talk about a couple websites. Speed Hunters, places like Stance Nation. These websites, I think, are done. And I'm a little shocked. And the only reason I'm talking about this now is because a couple days ago, and I wrote this down in my little podcast notes. A couple days ago, I went to speedhunters.com because I always go to that website. I hadn't gone in a couple weeks. And I usually reference old articles, and they talk about things they covered, like Goodwood Festival of Speed, the Tokyo Auto Salon, car builds, car meets, people that are car enthusiasts, people that have influenced the car culture. And the last time they had an update on this website was back in April. Then I went over to StanceNation.com, which is like an OG website in those Can I Beat days, Illest days, the forum days. I mean, Stance Nation was an OG, similar to like StanceWorks as well. And I went over to that website, and also the last time they posted something was back in April. And I'm like, yo, is it over for these websites? And I don't even know if that April was in 2025. It could have been in 2024. I might be a year late. It's not like I was checking on Stance Nation every single day. But as I was going through the website for Speed Hunters and realized that they hadn't updated anything in a very long time, it had me thinking about losing these websites and this journalism and the people that were going out to cover these shows and these events. Speed Hunters especially, because they had photographers and people that were all over the globe, and they would show and put out information in videos and photos of events in car culture in like Malaysia, Japan, and Europe, and the UK, and Dubai. I mean, it was everywhere. And so I know social media, Instagram, especially, I don't even want to say like Facebook and YouTube, even though it does exist there. I would lean more towards saying Instagram has made it kind of hard because those photographers and people that are taking those pictures in those places are going to just put it up on their website. The only problem was that whenever I hear that or when I think about it is that it's hard to find these people. My algorithm is car related. It's cars, it's food, and it's houses. Okay. Houses, cars, food. That's what my algorithm shows me. And even then, I have to really kind of jot down what I want to search for. I really have to go out of my way to find those people because they're not just readily available. You don't just find them, even if they're in your same city. When I was at the Texas Auto Writers Association, their event they did, I met the gentleman that runs the Instagram page called Capturing the Machine. I'm gonna throw this little tag up here. Very nice individual, really good photography, and I love his page. He lives in Houston. He has a very large following, much bigger than mine. And I never had seen him. I had never seen his stuff. I only had seen it like briefly, but I couldn't remember who it was. Sometimes you see stuff in passing, and you know how Instagram works. You see something, you forget to save it, you forget to follow the person, and then you refresh your feed and it's out of there. And you're like, what, hold on, what did I just see? And now you got to go try to search it again. So even though there are places where these people that work for like Speed Hunters or Stance Nation or all these other old websites have a platform like Instagram to go and do their own thing without having to have it on the website, I do like the fact and do miss how those websites curated that vision or those people and gave them a shout out and gave them a bigger platform because it brought them all together under one roof. I don't really have any information about this. This is just something I checked. And I was looking at it and I was just wondering to myself if we're looking at the end of an era, right? The forums, though I'm on the GR Corolla forum, it's never going to be the days of forums when that was the only way that you were communicating about your cars. We have Facebook groups, Instagram groups. They have all types of things to talk about the cars and Reddit. Though I will still lean on forums being a better platform because it kills all of the extra in there, right? If you go on a Facebook group for the car, you get a lot of opinions from people who may not own the car, who have the car, don't like it. This forums get very curated because everybody in there is a fan and a participant in the car and they want to talk about it and they're there to help. Facebook groups, it's a little hard. Like I'm in some of the verified ones that make it a little bit easier because you know it's people that are really owners. There's larger GR Corolla groups, for instance, and those just have a plethora of just everybody from everywhere, right? So you never know if somebody's trying to help you, if people just don't like the car but they want to follow it along. It's a weird thing, but that's just the nature of the internet, right? So it's just, it's a little sad, just hearing about or just noticing that these websites are not being updated. I don't know who runs Speed Hunters. I don't know who controls Stance Nation other than I follow the gentleman that started it. I don't know if he even cares about it to that degree. Not that these shows have stopped. I watch coverage from Dino DC in Japan, and he's all over these events and car shows, and there's all types of footage and coverage happening. So it's not like the culture has died down. It's the way we cover it has. And I think, obviously, we know Instagram and places like that where people kind of go. But, man, it's hard to find all these people. But getting into some other news, right? Getting into some good news. Dodge. It's just always, Dodge is usually good news. It's usually bad news. We usually kind of fall somewhere in between where we're like, what are we talking about today this week, CarQuicks? It's good news. SRT is back. Yes, street racing technology. They are back. Now, I understand that everybody was making articles. This is kind of old news when I'm doing this podcast because there's plenty of announcements and people that I follow, like Black Car Guru. I love his content. It's hilarious. And he was showing the whole spiel of like where they were at, where they come from, and where they're trying to go now. And absolutely correct on all the points of Dodge is correcting all their wrongs. That's really what they're going down. They're going down a path of correcting their wrongs, which is not bad. That is great that the company acknowledges that there was a misstep. I don't know what they're going to do with SRT. Everybody's excited because it signals kind of the return of Hellcats and Challengers and Scat Packs and like this, maybe even the Dodge Viper. It returns this group of people who were they achieved building something that was purely unique, very American, and performed at a high level, at a price point much lower than what they were shooting and achieving. And so I don't know what the SRT brand is going to do next. I don't even know if they're just going to reintroduce a Charger and the Challenger and the Scat Packs and the Hellcats as the previous model, because it's not like the Durango got changed. See, the Durango is getting another lease on life, and it's still the same truck. Same SUV, same design, same everything. But there is something to be said that Dodge cannot keep up doing the exact same thing for the longevity of the company, unfortunately. However much us car enthusiasts would love just nothing but a endless run of V8 supercharged big body sedans and coupes, I know realistically from a business standpoint that that will not keep them alive. Now, SRT coming back does acknowledge the fact that they're going to get a designated group of people that are running with the same gentleman that was overseeing them before, and they hopefully are getting the full ability to be autonomous in what they're doing. Basically giving them the leeway and the runway to say, go back to what we are doing, but bring us forward into the future. And it most likely doesn't necessarily mean electric won't be there. There is an SRT Banshee version of the Charger electric version out now, somewhere floating around. But I do believe this opens up an opportunity for something that could result in like an SRT version of, like, say, the 4-door Charger coming out that has a twin turbo inline six and it being a high output version of it. Maybe I don't know, maybe they have to beef it up more. Maybe they don't. Maybe they come out with a version that makes 800 and something horsepower, but it's not a V8. So there's going to be proponents that want the V8. We already know that. They're going to be over there. But if they introduce something that is high horsepower and it has that Hurricane Inline 6 twin turbo, we still are back with the SRT brand and people. I think they should brand it like that if they can't go back to reintroducing the old models, which they may not be able to. The shareholders might be like, we have to correct our wrong, but you still got to move forward. We can't bring back the old model. And that also means that the other models that were out there, the last call ones that were being charged ridiculous price tags. I remember seeing a video of some, I don't know if it was in Florida or the Midwest, but there was a dealership that was hoarding last call Dodge models, just had a bunch in the back, weren't cutting deals, weren't budging, were basically holding on to the fact saying that we know that Dodge canceled everything back in the beginning when they were like, listen, it's over for that. It's electric and inline twin turbo V6s, inline sixes. And so they held on to the V8 supercharged, which, you know, at that moment in time, that was kind of a smart business move. I mean, I couldn't knock them. I'm like, hey, it makes sense. This is the last call. Listen, if you're holding on to the last ones, you really want when you got to talk to them at the price point they want. But they were asking like 150,000, 100,000 for vehicles that might have been baselining their MSRP at 85,000 and stuff like that. Not like that's any cheaper. But I'm just saying they were charging like real 30, 40, $50,000 on top of the MSRP. Those prices are coming down because if you're holding on to a last call and you hear that SRT is back, then obviously you want to just see what this is going to be. If I'm in the market for this, I'm going to hold off and be like, let me just see what they do. Let me see what Dodge is going to bring back. Are we bringing back Hellcats? Are we bringing back Scat Packs? What are we bringing back? And I'm waiting to see it now because now I know that they're not playing around. They're serious about getting back that momentum they had before. And I've talked about it plenty of times. They lost their momentum because it wasn't offering the enthusiasts and the people that were paying into what Dodge was doing a contingency plan. It was all or nothing. It was, if you don't like electric, oh well. And if you like the V8, oh well. It's like there wasn't anything to kind of ease them into the next generation and offer them ability to experience it, to have incentives, just things that were not speaking to the fans and the people that were loving this car. And it's not like Dodge and their PR and marketing team didn't notice the plethora of YouTube channels that lived on the back of Hellcats and Scat Packs. The Instagram people that have massive followings because of that brand. It was almost like they just ignored all those people and were like, that's not a big deal. They'll follow us to the electric side. And it was just like, no, they're not. They're not doing that. So they're back. They got the same CEO in place. They're working on what the next phase is. I would really, man, if there was any like dream, and not that I have the means to buy one, but another Viper would be just amazing at this point in time because we are very much in a time when they are making monster type vehicles. We got ZR1s, Z06s. Ford is over there making $300,000 Mustangs. So if there ever was a time when Viper would come out and really get to swinging, it's right now. I mean, this is a time when, if you really think about it, and I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm sure the development of another V10 or a twin turbo V10 or maybe it's a V8 or something of that nature is going to take a long time to kind of piece that together. But I hope that the SRT group that's coming together, they got that Viper portfolio off to the side. Like, hey, it's time. It is time. Okay, we got American muscle cars and sports cars and basically hypercar running around. Okay, we got 01, the 01Xs, 1250 horsepower. It's time to get cracking. Okay, it's time to go. Now, continuing on with some more exotic news to say, that is Ferrari. So Ferrari announced a brand new, well, not a brand new, they kind of updated a model that is kind of like their entry point model, I would say, honestly. It's not a Super Series, it's not a F80, it's not a SF90, it's not a 296 GTB or the Speciale version. It is the 2027 Ferrari Amalfi, which sounds like the Amalfi Coast because that's what it's named after, basically the Amalfi Coast. And it is an update to the Ferrari Roma with a couple things they did. It's still front mid-engine because it's behind the front axle. 199 mile an hour top speed, 631 horsepower, which is up, I think, 19 horsepower compared to the previous version. Yes, 19 horsepower, to confirm that. 19 horsepower up from the previous version. 0 to 60 is still the low 3-second range. MSRP $283,000. And it's like the Grand Coupe. Think of it like the Aston Martin Vantage, or I don't know if it goes up to the Vanquish level. Probably not, as far as what I could think in my head, more Vantage. But this is like the entry into somebody getting into Ferrari for the first time, I would say. Kind of like the Ferrari California. This is the Amalfi. And they've updated a couple things. Notable from this whole entire thing is that they listened to the clients, the Ferrari customers. They said that they were not happy with the capacitive buttons that were all over the steering wheel. Ferrari acknowledged that because the steering wheel that was in the Roma, that's in the 296, it's in the SF90, they have capacitive buttons on the bottom of the steering wheel and just kind of around it instead of physical buttons. The people that are buying Romas, that are trying to have Grand Tours, that are trying to cruise, trying to just go out to dinner, trying to chill out. Maybe they have a little spirited drive on the way up to dinner, on the way back, they're cruising back with like the top down, it's nighttime, just things like that. It's a Grand Tour with the ability to perform at a high level. They wanted their buttons back, and Ferrari acknowledged that they had made a mistake. The mistake they made, that they acknowledged, was that they were trying to become too modern, or they're trying to modernize the Ferrari interior too much. Who else had this problem? Volkswagen. Volkswagen introduced capacitive buttons across the entire dashboard of like the GTI, the Golf R, the MK version. Every review was like, listen, it's just too much. I've said it too in my reviews. I've said there isn't anything wrong with buttons. I think that's why car companies that embrace that aesthetic get so much praise for their interior design, whether you like it or not. Things like Pagani. When you look inside of their cars, you see switchgear, you see titanium bolts, you see levers, you just see artistic expression and functionality. I'm not a fan of just a clean slate of everything either being hidden behind black screens that light up when you finally turn the car on, capacitive buttons, only giant touch screens. It's like it should still be an art form. It still should be an experience. You still should have to do things that make you feel what the car is doing, that you're bringing it alive. I mean, there's probably something to be said about turning a key to start an engine as opposed to a start and stop button, which is the standard right now. But part of that starting up procedure is why people experiencing like driving these type of cars. So to take that away, it's kind of like, hey, you're just driving a toy now. You're just driving a digital toy. This is almost a video game. And soon enough, we're going to take away the steering wheel and you're just going to sit back and just say you're driving in a Ferrari. So they updated the interior to have buttons back. And, for listening to the owners, listening to the people that are paying for it. And they also updated the exterior. That is the biggest change to this refresh. Gone is the old Roma, like bottom grill. I say mesh grill. It's not really. It's more like a painted body type grill that had the holes that go to the bottom of it that were feeding air into the engine. I actually like that feature. I'm actually kind of sad that they took that away. I kind of like that. But what they introduced now is, if you look at the picture I'm seeing on this video, and if you're not watching the video, I don't understand what you're doing. Go subscribe to Spotify, subscribe to YouTube, subscribe to Apple Podcasts, subscribe. Okay, like and follow. But what they've done is, if you look at the front end, there is it's like a black strip that kind of follows the front headlights. They're very sleek, small, sitting on the side. And I see what they didn't paint this because if they did, it would look almost like a character or like a fish. It'd be like two eyes and a mouth. So you have this kind of line that kind of brings this together. The bottom opening no longer has that kind of flat painted mesh grill. It's now a large opening that feeds air into the motor. I don't know. I didn't read that this was done because of aerodynamics or that they needed to have more power or needed to have more airflow for cooling because of the power increase. I think it was just a design change to help modernize it a little bit, but not too far, because they already told you how when they went too far in the interior. So it's more so about just cleaning up the outside to give it more of family lineage. So if you look at this front end, if you look at the 12 cylindry, if you look at the upcoming F80, if you look at even the 296, you're starting to see like a lineage of the design language across the model. So I think a lot of that is them trying to update everything so that when you're looking at these model lineups inside of the store or in a presentation, it all looks familiar. But it's the same overall car. The interior, outside of the buttons, everything is fairly the same. It does have two seats in the back that are absolutely useless because you'd have to have either a baby child or a very small adult that wants to squeeze back there for the shortest trip imaginable. But the interior still looks great, still looks like a Ferrari. You can get it in a more sport-oriented version with Alcantara and red stitching. You can get it with like a more luxury, bespoke kind of Daytona feel with like brown leather interior, and you can just kind of customize it to whatever you need. But the Amalfi is here. I think you can order it now. I don't think it's something that they're waiting for necessarily, but it might be towards the end of the year because I'm seeing this saying the 2027 model, which would make me think that it's coming to the very end of this quarter, like quarter four, going into Q1 of 2026. But if you're looking for an update to the lowest or the cheapest Ferrari that you can buy, the Amalfi is here. Now, continuing on with the exotic sports cars, Porsche actually introduced a special model again for a certain group of people. Porsche released a limited edition 911. It's called the 911 Club Coupe 70th anniversary for the Porsche Club of America, PCA. And it's based off the 911 Carrera T. 388 horsepower, flat six diffs, sport tune, suspension, 6-speed manual as the Lord intended. Okay, so this is the base of the vehicle is solid, but the special edition part comes from the fact that it's for the PCA Club, and they have done this before. They did a 997.1 Club Coupe for the 50th anniversary. For the 60th anniversary, they did a 991 GTS Club Coupe, and for this year, for the 70th anniversary, we're doing a 2026 911 Carrera T. And one of the cool things that you get in this Club Coupe, specifically that I've highlighted before, is that if you look at the 6-speed manual shifter, you get this walnut wood shift knob that looks dope. You get other interior and exterior different features that separate this from a normal 911 Carrera T or Club Coupe. That is like the wheels. The wheels are a special addition to this, which do look good, actually. I do like how these wheels look, and that's not a normal thing. Even though Porsche does make decent wheels, I'm always an aftermarket wheel person anyway, so I'm going to switch them out if it was me. But these do look very good. If you look on the outside, which is blue color, there is subtle like red stitching, red pinstriping in the front fascia area and the front bumper. If you get into the interior, though, that is where they snapped, because they have this tartan PCA is a Porsche Club of America themed inlays inside of the seats. These are absolutely fire. Red stitching, red stitching, blue stitching. This interior, it even has this stitching and inlay inside the glove box, the shift knob, the seats. I mean, this is fire. And it's a simple thing because overall the vehicle is what it is. You just get like the badging, you get certain colors, you get the inlays, you get the stitching, you get other things like illuminated Porsche Club of America door sills, you get the badging, you get the inlays. So you get something that at least tells you that it's special. But the one thing that you'll know that is really special is because they're only making 70 of these. Okay. There's only going to be 70. They didn't talk about the price point, but they did talk about the fact that the only way you can get this is if you are a member of Porsche Club of America. So you need to go hand them your membership real quick if you're thinking about buying one of these. But overall, it's a cool little special edition. I just love the way the interior looks on the seats. That little bit of badging, blue's my favorite color. If I was in the market for a Carrera T and I was a Porsche Club member, this would be enough to sell me on. I'd be like, you know what? Let me get that. And I would imagine it's going to appreciate in cost because there's only 70 versions of it. And if you've been getting each one for every iteration of the 70 or 80 or 90 or 100 when it comes, I can imagine that you're going to end up with something that's of value later on. Now, outside of Porsche, we're going to get into something that it kind of changes the tune. It changes the tune a little bit on something I talked about before, and that's Slate Truck. Slate Truck, I did a whole podcast on because when that was announced, it was a big deal. One, because it's a new EV startup based in America. They're introducing like a modular truck, basically, something very simplified, bare bones, no infotainment system, bring your own device type thing, bring your own speakers, bring your own seat belts. It was basically you build out what you want, and the price point was what made everybody say, if you can deliver, I'm on board. And that was this sub $20,000 electric truck. Very simple. I spoke to the fact that, listen, simplified trucks, electric or gas powered or what have you, have been desirable and have been wanted for many years. Trucks and the price point of trucks now is complicated, it's expensive. Many people just want a rehash of the basics. 4 cylinders, simple V6s, no hybrid, just roll down windows, just simple, and price points that make sense and are not $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. So the Slate Truck was automatically moved to the top of the pile because of what it did. Even if you didn't like electric vehicles or didn't care for them and you would rather have a gas-powered one, many people that I talked to or even commented on my videos or my podcast said, I'm considering this because of the price point. Unfortunately, though, the administration just recently, this week, had passed a bill that eliminates a number of things, but we won't get into that, but eliminates the EV tax credit come September 30th, which is $7,500 you can get from the federal EV credit. And so it changes where this price point and where the marketing for the Slate Truck can even go. I will say this, though. When I did that podcast, I did mention that while it is very cool that it can get down to the sub $20,000 if you are eligible for the tax incentive. And that eligibility is something that needs to be said when we're talking about electric vehicles because everybody don't get it. You got to have a tax liability enough to say, I can get this tax credit and it'll benefit me. Everybody is not going to get it and they're not going to be eligible for it. So some of that was brilliant marketing. And it is true if it was to that case. But now that it's taken away, got to have a little bit of a discussion. See, now the price point they said, if you go onto their website, they say it's now going to be in the mid-20s. Mid-20s or 27,000, like 500, because that is what I'm reading too, is that it's going back to the price point of around 27,000, say 27.5. 27.5 turns this into, we got to have a little bit of a discussion because now it's a little bit more. Not that the truck wasn't going to be that before. I'm talking strictly from how do you get people in the door? If you get people in the door, then they find out that they're not eligible for the incentive, but they fall in love with the truck. A lot of times people still buy it, even if it ends up being $30,000. However, if it's starting at $27,000 and there is no incentive and they know that, then now you have to then be put up against vehicles that never got an incentive, like a Ford Maverick, which starts at $29,000. While that is more money, it does come with all the standard features that was touted in the Slate being removed for the ability for you to build out what you need. Infotainment, power windows, stereos, things like that. So if the Maverick at $29,000 starting already has all that in there, and you're talking about $27,000, I got to add everything, and I get up to $29,000 to $30,000, I then have to really be in love with the idea of an electric small truck as opposed to a hybrid one. So it does put them in an interesting spot, but I don't think it's all bad. I do think that there is a way for them to work this to their best angle. One, you need to lean into further, not that they haven't, but you need to lean in further into the electric aspect of it and the simplicity of the truck and the bare bones nature of it. That needs to still remain the selling point. The fact that it is so bare bones and simple, the fact that it is bring your own device, build out what you want. It has to become your build your own type of vehicle even more so, because if not, if they try to compete under the merits of you can make ours have all the features that the Maverick has or the Santa Cruz has or any other small truck, then you're going to lose, because once that price point reaches to 35,000 or more, if depending on how much these accessories might cost, then you're lost. Somebody's going to say, I don't care that much about electric powertrains that much to care. And we don't know the range yet. I can't remember if I talked about that, but the range is a concern too. Are we getting 200 miles? We're getting 300 miles? What are we doing? It's great for like fleet setups. It's great probably for like mobile details. I talked about it there too. For people that are just moving about the city, but the price point does change how you have to view it a bit. But like I said, I don't think it's all doom and gloom for Slate. I think that what they need to do is make sure that with this price increase, the transparency of what it's going to cost needs to be apparent. Doing material that says starting in the mid-20s. Listen, if we know the incentives is gone and it's not coming back, then just go ahead and say what the price is. Just get it out the way, rip the Band-Aid off and say, hey, it's starting at $27,000 now. But here's what you can do. Now, obviously, when you don't have anything in there, when there is no infotainment, when there is no stereo and all that are options, then they probably need to adjust how much accessories cost, because now you're asking people to create basic vehicle features at the same price that the other ones get it. That's where it gets kind of interesting. But I think they can still work through it. And I still like the Slate Truck. I think it's one of the smartest design ideas. And I do think that it should have been electric. I don't think that new startups should try to make, unless they're getting supplied from manufacturers that have been doing this for decades. Like if they got a deal with Toyota and they're pulling 4-cylinder hybrid motors or whatever Toyota has, then cool. But if you don't have that pedigree of having decades and decades of figuring out engine manufacturing, then electric drivetrains is the way to go. It is the simplest and easiest barrier of entry into introducing a vehicle. And the point of the vehicle is to give people the option to build and choose what they want. So while it might sound nuts to some people that you would spend this much money for a vehicle that doesn't have a radio, there are those people that are like, I actually don't want a radio. I really wanted it to be as bare bones as possible. I want to add what I want to add when I want to add it. So that's the merits of it. But now that the incentive's gone, they're going to have to figure some things out as far as the marketing goes, because you can't say it's sub 20,000 anymore, because that is not the case. Now, continuing on with some more electric news. This was actually kind of cool and interesting at the same time, because I was like, how do they pull this off in a sanctioned racing event? And that's Alpine. Alpine released an A290 Rally Hot Hatch. That is electric. That is front wheel drive. I'm just intrigued by this idea because, well, one, obviously everybody's gonna say, why couldn't it just be a gas powered? I don't know what Alpine engines they have. I wasn't looking that up. I was just looking at the fact that they made an FIA compliant rally spec electric front wheel drive hot hatch with 215 horsepower, limited slip differential, 220 pound-feet of torque. And this looks cool. It got Evo Corsa wheels on it, 18 inches. It got racing brakes. It got welded in roll cages, full on FIA compliance. And this is in a true $70,000 rally spec vehicle. Where I was interested in understanding was how this performs in sanctioned racing events. I guess it must be a rally stage that's very short, because they didn't talk about the battery size, but if it's front wheel drive and electric drivetrains in the front, it makes 215 horsepower. I'm assuming that this is fairly lightweight for an electric vehicle or electric hot hatch, and I don't think it would have a large amount of battery capacity. So the interesting part is, if you were to spend $70,000 as a team that wanted to get this electric Alpine rally car, this rally hot hatch, I'm like, well, how much driving time do you get? Like, can I drive an hour at full tilt? 30 minutes, not an hour. I mean, that's more like a endurance race. But I'm just saying, can I go for an extended period of time? And where am I getting batteries? Like, how am I charging on a rally stage? Am I just sitting at a checkpoint and somebody's sitting there with a generator and a plug and I got to plug me in? I got to continue on my stage. Like, how are we doing this? How are we managing an all electric rally car? And is there a sanctioned event? I went to look it up. I didn't find anything, but it tells me there must be something happening where they're going to try to make some type of EV rally thing. I mean, it's definitely not going to be anything like rally cars because rally cars, one, sound incredible. They sound awesome. They're just renowned for the way they look, how they perform, flying in the air, hearing the engine, hearing the anti-lag, hearing the turbo. So EV version of rally racing is going to be a hard sell. It's going to be a hard sell, mainly because you're in the forest. So imagine you're sitting in the forest at an EV rally race and you can't hear anything until you see the car fly by you. You're like, oh man, I missed it. You don't hear the downshifts. You don't hear the engine, boosting. You don't hear the blow off, but you don't hear nothing. You just hear silence, birds and trees, swaying back and forth. And all of a sudden, a rally car goes by and you're like, man, I missed it. I didn't even see it. I don't know how good that would do in the grand scheme of fans and people, but Alpine is doing something different. Now, getting into some true hot hatches, though, we're going to introduce a new GR Yaris. And this is an Aero Performance Edition. So the Aero Performance Edition has upgrades like a vented hood, there's vents on the side fenders, there's new front splitter, there's no active aero cooling, and there's a large rear adjustable wing, as you can see, on the back of this. And all this was done in the sense of increasing airflow around the vehicle, downforce, and performance on the track. Most interesting, though, about this, and I'm going to highlight the wing, is that this has to be the exact same wing that's going to be on this high-performance GR Corolla edition that's coming this fall. We all suspect it's the GR-MN version, but it may, who knows what it might be. It could very well be an aero performance option that we're seeing here on this Yaris. But if you're looking at this wing, and you're looking at the Yaris, you're looking at this camouflage version on the GR Corolla, you can't tell me that this is not the same thing. Now, all of us GR Corolla owners, and many of them are going to be asking for the part number for this wing immediately. But it is cool to see Toyota continue to update this car. The GR Yaris, the GR Corolla has gotten consistent updates since it's been introduced, like almost every 2 years. We had a refresh with the 2025 facelift. They got the aero performance option. We got another special edition coming out. They've updated things in Japan when it comes to the performance related different models and trims. So Toyota is not anywhere close to done with this model, even though I've suspected that we only have a year or maybe two left for them doing a production. That may still be the case, but it is encouraging to see them continue to try to update the model and the chassis and things like that. And like I've said before, we are on an old chassis when it comes to the E210 and the Corolla, and there needing to be an introduction to a brand new one. So that may be something that's currently in the works as well. But using that as a segue, before I leave you guys, GR Corolla updates. So I haven't installed anything new recently, though I am going to change out some interior things and do some kind of like custom mounting, because I still have the throttle control I have from ShiftPower. I have to mount the button for it in another location. I don't like where it's at now, and I have an idea of eliminating the almost useless wireless charger that's in the GR Corolla and putting in the cubby hole that I have that comes from a regular Corolla, kind of drilling things in there and kind of mounting this button in a certain specific place, which I think I can pull off and make it look really dope and look really cool. But also, I have been in talks with a company I'm working out the details of trying to do some videos, some footage, some install guide, really help out this company that I've been following for a long time for a part that they have coming out for the car. And if we work this out, I am highly excited. Okay. I can't even wait to experience this, because the person that engineered this, I mean, this is thorough when it comes to almost over engineering something for the car. And that's what gets me excited about this idea. So I'm hoping that we can work some details out and that I can help him out as well with his business. I can showcase some stuff to the GR Corolla community and really review this in conjunction with other parts that I have done from the same kind of category. I'm really trying to, once I do this one, I got the full story. I'm going to tell you, like, hey, this is what it costs to do it at this price point, this price point, this price point, and here we are at the top of the pile. So I'm hoping that goes through. And enjoying the car. I'm just driving the car, cleaning it. We have an event like a GR Corolla, like Mazda Meet that's happening this weekend when I'm recording this. It's out here in West Texas. I may go to it. I may not. I don't know, because it's late in the evening and then I got to drive back home. So there's some things to consider here when I'm thinking about this. But I'm enjoying the car, driving it, putting the miles on it. Other things that are getting introduced and companies I'm talking with, it's just always a slow. Like I said, I like the story to go slow. I'm not trying to rush and burn through this, throw a bunch of stuff at it, and then the next thing I know, I'm busy trying to figure out a way to do something different, or I'm getting bored. So, like I said, I'm enjoying the car. It's working well. Everything's going great. We got new stuff coming. Check out the YouTube channel. Besides the podcast, check out the car reviews. More of those are coming. Check out the installs, the car build, everything. Because, like I said, this right here, this podcast is one of the main foundational points of the CarQuicks empire. Okay. But I love doing this. And so I'm going to see you guys next week. I'm glad that you joined me again for episode 101. I will see you next week. And this is your first time coming. Welcome. Join the family. See you here next week. It was Cameron Biggs, your host, the CarQuicks Podcast. I'm going to see y'all around. Peace.